I'm Wesley Hunt.
I'm Wrendon Hunt.
And you're in the hunt. Wrendon, upon us is my favorite holiday. You know we don't care too much about holidays, but there's like 3 holidays in the year that I really care about. One is Jesus' birthday. Okay.
Second is Wrendon's birthday.
No.
No?
Dickenberg, no.
I blocked a shot.
The second is Veterans Day / Memorial Day. They're very different, but they're in the vein of service and military service. And of course, the granddaddy of them all, the 4th of July.
Independence Day.
Our Independence Day.
Independence Day.
How many times have I watched that movie and watched that clip of the president talking about
today
our freedom?
we celebrate our Independence
Day. Yes.
Yeah.
This is my favorite holiday. It's my favorite holiday because this is where it all started. This is where it all began. And through all the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the ills, all the struggle, all the progress, everything, it hinges on the inception of the American experiment that started July 4th, 1776.
USA.
Hallelujah.
USA.
Hallelujah.
USA.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So you're going to be wearing red, white, and blue on the 4th of July.
I'm going to paint myself in red, white, and blue. I mean, you don't understand. I go nuts for this holiday. Okay?
No, I understand.
You see me. There's a very limited, there's 0 chance I will have a few adult beverages and I probably will not be fully sober. But I just love this holiday.
It's great.
It's an opportunity to start to teach the kids about patriotism, about what this country stands for, about who we are, about where we've come, and the idea that we aren't perfect. We got a ways to go, but this is the greatest country in the world, and here's why.
But here's what's interesting about what you just said. Because of the era that we live in now, we have to caveat everything with but we aren't perfect,
It's kind of ridiculous.
Nothing is perfect.
Nothing is perfect.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'm very proud to be a Hunt. Are the Hunts perfect? I mean, with exception of me, no. I'm very proud to be a Hunt. Any affiliation that we have...
What color are those pants?
In anything...
Is that taupe? Algae? Is that algae?
Did you just say dope? The fact that you know what color taupe is.
Are those algae green pants? They're perfect, but they're algae.
I would say they're more of a moss green.
Oh, okay. Continue. I'm sorry. You were talking about perfect that I...
Yeah. Well, we feel like we have to caveat everything. And what's the saying? Great is the enemy of good.
Great is the enemy of good. Yeah.
So we feel like we have to caveat. Yeah, there are things we have to work on. Blah blah. The 4th of July is not about celebrating the things that we have to work on.
It's celebrating
the 4th of July is celebrating
how badass we are.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example of this that has just come up at the time that we're filming this show. It's a day after former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld passed away. Mm-hmm. Okay,
who gave my commencement speech at West Point in 2004?
Yes, and who I've met on a number of occasions. Really funny segue here. Would have been in 2014, so 7 years ago. He passed away at the age of 88, so he would have been 81 years old.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of introducing him for a lunch meeting. And I had introduced him, and I was talking to one of his aides. And his aide was saying, yeah, we played some squash this morning, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, we? What do you mean we played some squash this morning? And this aide at the time, I was in my early 30s. He was about my age, right?
Okay.
So what do you mean we played some squash? He's like, me and the secretary, we played. It's like, is he any good? He's like, yeah, he beat me. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Could you imagine?
So I have played a little bit of squash. I played quite a bit while I was at Harvard Business School. Uh-huh. My friends and I, we played a bit, so I picked up the sport. And after I had introduced him and after we had had this lunch, I had gone up to him. I said, "Hey, Mr. Secretary, look, I hear you're playing squash and still getting around doing that." And he looks at me and says, "You want to play? I'll kick your ass."
Of course he said that. Of
I'm
course he
like,
said,
bro,
"Whoa, I just met you."
bro,
Rely.
bro. But the reason I bring up Secretary Rumsfeld.
But real quick, could you imagine Joe Crime Bill Biden trying to play squash?
I can't even imagine him walking upstairs to get to an airplane. So how can I imagine what kind of question is that?
Squash. He's like, squash with squash. Is that what's for lunch? Make sure it's matched up. Gotta have it easy on my digestive system. You mean make sure it's pureed really well.
So
Sorry.
the reason I bring him up is because I was watching, and I watch all sorts of news sources. Okay, so I was watching Rachel Maddow yesterday, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I watch all sorts of news sources. I told you, I do. I don't agree with all news sources. I said I watch all news sources.
If I could probably watch Rachel Maddow for 3.5 nanoseconds before my head explodes.
So here was
Good for you, by the way. Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you.
It was an interesting. She was doing a segment where basically she was talking about Donald Rumsfeld and everything that went on with the Iraq War and everything that went wrong.
Yeah.
And this is another conversation for another day. I do not wholeheartedly agree with the way that things were handled, the way that there were a lot of good people who died because of poor decision making.
We fought in this war, Wrendon, so we get it.
However,
We get it.
this goes back to what you're saying about 4th of July and when it's the time to say things are okay and things aren't. Is the eve of this guy's death really the time that we're going to take to trash his life?
Yeah. Yeah.
And let me say this for the record. As my brother and closest confidant, I don't care what I think of anybody and what they've done over the course of their lives.
Yeah.
On the day of their death, if you ever hear me trying to trash anybody, I don't care who they are, unless it's Bill Cosby.
We'll get to that in a second.
Please stop me.
Yeah.
Like there's a level of appropriateness when certain things happen.
Yeah.
And once again, the 4th of July, the level of appropriateness for the 4th of July is not to say, this is all we have going on and our country sucks, even though we're the best country in the world. No, it's a time for us to actually come together. Like, why don't we have these opportunities?
Time to put on some tacky, sleeveless, red, white, and blue shirts, put on some American flag pantalones. I'm sure you have some.
What would make you think that I have American
I bet you have some
flag
real
pants?
tight ones. Some real tight American flag.
So it's synonymous to American flag paint.
Wear your hat, be proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was just something that I saw. It's like, there's I struggle with that in our society.
I want to add something else to this too. It's kind of like the Juneteenth thing as well.
Let's be happy.
Can we be happy about that? When I would see people just say, we already have Independence Day, it's called the 4th of July. Yeah, we have that.
And we have all this
and a paycheck? Like, this is not an or conversation, it's an and conversation.
Isn't it amazing?
Let's celebrate the Republicans freeing slaves. Can we do that? Well, this is a good thing, guys. This is a really good thing.
Isn't it crazy how we can be such curmudgeons
about everything?
Yeah, nothing is ever good enough.
God,
right? I mean, we see this. It was really interesting with General Mark Milley, right, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and his comments on critical race theory and teaching critical race theory. Yeah. Right. And I couldn't help when I heard those statements to say, wow, we're missing such a huge piece of this. He talked about reading Mao and Lenin and Marx, and that doesn't make him a communist. And I'm like, yes, this is great. This is a Princeton-educated, multiple grad degree, truly a national treasure.
Yeah.
This guy is a Special Forces Ranger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Truly a national treasure.
Yeah.
Right? And in all that he was saying, I thought, wow, what we're missing isn't whether or not you should teach something. It's fine if you teach things.
Yeah.
It's the context and frame in which you teach it.
That's all.
There's no problem with teaching communism or bigotry or any of these other things
In the right
if
lens.
you frame it in a way where people can understand a stance on it.
Wrendon, that's my issue with CRT, though. That's my issue.
Yeah.
It just takes one lens, that's race, and then General Milley, and I think, I mean, I'm not trying to bag on him here, but like, you have to understand that there's a finite amount of education that we can give. If you're teaching someone this, then you're not teaching someone something else and a better lens.
Yeah.
We should be optimizing our lenses all the time.
Yes.
And by simply looking at everything through the lens of race and not socioeconomics and not timing and not culture, not our culture, the world's culture.
Yeah.
Putting things in context and just saying it's all race, that's a problem.
And the issue that is even broader than that is not only is it a problem, and once again, if we are going to teach critical race, we should teach the holes that are in the argument as well.
But nobody wants to do that, Wrendon. That's the problem.
Because
Nobody's going to do that.
There's this broader issue that if we truly do subscribe to this theory and view everything through the lens of it has to be race, then some of the white people that are writing the textbooks, they only did it because somehow they were going to benefit from that as well. And this whole structure is set up because everything has to do with race.
Everything is nefarious.
And we've had this conversation before. I think that there is a true danger in this to the black community more broadly, because then we raise a generation of people that are looking for race to explain everything in a negative way.
Yes.
I've told you this a million times. I don't know what my life would be like if I was constantly looking for why people were treating me wrong rather than looking for opportunities where people treated me right. The stress of that alone would have broken me in this life.
Yeah. So you wouldn't be here.
It would have broken me. So we are in teaching in that way, we would be telling our children, our next generation, it's there, you got to look for it.
It's crippling.
It's always there, you got to look for it.
It's crippling. Imagine being told that day in and day out every single day. And you know what it does? It puts a cap on what you can do, because not even you can believe that you can do it, because the world is always against you. And then once that gets indoctrinated in the way you live your life, then you'll never peak.
Yeah.
Because you will stop yourself from trying to achieve things because the world is always against you.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the left is doing. Now, I don't necessarily think they're doing it on purpose, but we are creating victims. The difference between us is this: our parents would never let us get away with that.
Yeah.
You don't get to blame somebody else for why you do or don't have something. It's your life. You own it. You were born in America. Life's not fair. This is as fair as it's going to get. Go figure it out.
Yeah.
And we did.
Yeah.
Because we were never encumbered by the idea of walking in the room and thinking to ourselves, you know what? I'm not even going to try.
Yeah.
Because I'm a poor little black boy and we can't achieve.
It didn't work out because I'm black.
It
didn't work out.
I was black.
And we've talked about this before. Have there been things in my life? I am not delusional enough to believe
Of course,
that there have been times and things in my life where I didn't get it because of the color of my skin. I know that that's happened to me.
Yes.
But every time, I didn't use that as a reason or excuse why I didn't get it. I use that as fuel. If this person wants to hold me back because I'm black,
I'll show you.
Guess what? I'm going to be better.
I'll show you. Way better. I'm going to be so much better.
I'm going to exceed the expectation.
So much better that next time you can't say no.
Yeah. Without a benefit of the doubt.
It's fuel.
Without.
But Wrendon, guess what? Many groups go through this. This isn't just black people. Many different women.
Yeah.
You kidding me? Let's be clear about something. Black men have the right to vote before all women.
Yeah.
Like if we could go on and on. Every group has had their crosses to bear in some capacity. That's the beauty of 4th of July in America and our independence.
Yeah.
This is as close to a meritocracy as you're ever going to see in the world. It's your choice.
Yeah. And a lot of people would say, well, it's not that close. Back to your point. It's as close as you're going to see.
So what do you...
People in other parts of the world are trying to get here to get a piece of this. It's as close as you're going to see. You think it's better other places in the world?
I'm here to tell you it's not.
Give it a try and see.
I've been there.
It's not.
So this kind of brings us, now that we're talking about the 4th of July, and this kind of brings us to the Olympics coming up here and what happened this week with Gwen Berry, who finished 3rd place in the hammer throw and is going to go to Tokyo and
in the Olympic trials.
In the Olympic trials, so she's going to go to the Olympics. And during the national anthem, she held her shirt up and then turned her back on the national anthem. Now, you and I are people that fought for the right for people to express themselves and however they want. It's called the First Amendment.
Yeah, yeah.
The issue that I take up with this is, so we're talking about the Olympics and you're representing your country. This isn't like the NBA or the NFL or no. Like, you are literally being sent by your country to go represent her. You're on a team here. This is a team thing. Yeah. And if you're going to try to tell me that that's the best way to get your point across as to how you feel disgruntled about what certain things are going on in your country, I have a real problem with that. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that what she should or shouldn't do. It's your right, but then we also have our right to express my displeasure with watching that.
Hey, and I love the way you frame that, because I fought and was willing to die and would be willing to die again for her right to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a consistency argument here that's a real broad one. A lot of people have called for canceling her. Don't let her on the Olympic team, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I don't believe in canceling, period. Yeah. You know that.
I know.
I think she should be on the Olympic team. And you know what? I'll even go further. I'm going to cheer for her. Do you know why I'm going to cheer for her? Because she wears red, white, and blue. And I'm so disappointed that she doesn't understand that her ability to compete at that level and what this country has enabled her to do, that she doesn't see it in the same way that I do. I feel sad for her. I feel empathy for her that she doesn't see it that way.
Watching her behave,
but I'm still so disappointed.
Watching her behave that way, the only thing I was really thinking of is just like, why are you there? Like I'm not saying you have to be just grateful for the country that you live. Well, you should be, but like if that's going to be your behavior to go to the Olympics, something that people have trained their entire lives to do, to represent their country, why are you even here? Yeah. Furthermore, could you imagine if this were if a Russian athlete or a Chinese athlete, or I can go down the list of athletes that behaved that way on a national scale, what would happen to them?
Well, and therein lies the irony.
You just lack this sense of like appreciation for what we have. But I'm going to tell you what the part that really pisses me off, flat out. What's the woman's name who got first? Was it Deanne Price, I think was her name? Yeah, Deanne Price. She's the one that got first place.
And we're not talking about her.
Wrendon. She had the American record.
Yeah.
And broke her own record.
American record. Yeah.
And broke her own record. And you know what we're talking about? Not her accomplishment, not her hard work, that she spent years trying to perfect this craft to be one of the best in the world to do it. Oh no. We're talking about this petulant child who wants to steal the glory from a teammate that really did something special. That's garbage to me.
Yeah. Well, to your point, that is not teamwork.
No, it's the opposite.
That is not a team mentality.
No. So if you don't want to be on the team, why do you want to be there in the first place? What also strikes me to be very interesting about Gwen is that there's pictures that have surfaced with her standing proudly in front of an American flag. So what happened? is this an attention grab? Are you trying? I'm an activist now. Like, what are you doing? The only thing you're doing is robbing the glory from your other teammates that are proudly standing there with their hands over their heart and they can't wait to represent their country
and causing consternation.
That's it.
This is the pot stirrer.
For what?
Right?
And by the way, if you think you're bringing this is where a lot of people that think that applaud her, to include the president, actually, of the United States, Joe Biden, the people that applauded this, see, here's what they're missing. What they're missing is that you're not helping.
No.
See, you think you're helping by bringing attention to a cause. You're not helping.
No. Wesley, this is the same thing as critical race theory.
Yeah.
If you believe that you're helping a minority by telling them that they have no chance of succeeding because the system is completely against them, you're not.
Wrendon, if you're talking about trying to cure racism by teaching reverse racism, you're not helping.
No.
You're really not.
No.
We should be in the business of empowering people.
Yeah.
And then how do we do it in a very constructive way? There are ways to talk about how you feel about some of the ills in our country in a productive way that people would want to listen to and want to engage on and want to talk about.
Yeah. Well, this is just pulling pure, sorry. This is just pouring fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
You know that people will get all fired up about the national anthem and about the flag. You know that. So you're just pouring that kerosene all over it.
You know what this goes to? Just because you can
doesn't mean you should.
Doesn't mean you should.
And when you talk about, in selfish ways, stealing
the
glory
from your
from a situation that should elicit very positive emotions.
Yes.
You know what that reminds me of? Today, the day we're filming this, is the deceased Princess Diana's 60th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Outside of the palace that she lived in, they have now put up a statue of her.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I saw that, yeah.
In honor of her.
It's awesome.
Okay? What we should all be talking about is her humanitarian efforts, the way that she made a monarchy feel close and personal.
Class, dignity, respect.
With her people.
Yeah. Beloved. Yeah.
That's what we should be talking about. That should be every press, every headline that we see. But what are we talking about? How are Harry and William going to interact? So even by going and saying, hey, I want to be a part of this, it's this unceasing
taking the
attention grab from something that could and should be beautiful.
Yeah.
And provocative.
And we're ruining it. Yeah.
Why? Why can't sometimes we just let the attention be on the most important thing,
or the most positive thing?
It doesn't have to be about
the most positive
us all
thing.
the time.
Yes. How can we promote more positivity in general? There's enough negative stuff out there.
Yes.
There's enough of it. And these very rare opportunities to celebrate good. Can we please do that sometimes?
Yes.
Everything has to be a controversy. Everything.
Yeah. We can't get away from it. We can't get out of our own way.
What's the gospel song? Crying
with a loaf of bread under your arms. We can't get out of our way long enough to appreciate the mountaintops because we're constantly trying to jump in the valleys.
Yep. Can we do a victory lap, please? And by the way, Gwen's story is phenomenal. Apparently, I mean, it's like an American dream type story
that is only possible
in America. And here you are saying you're going to the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Well, and that's also one of the pieces of that that's just so frustrating for me is it goes back to what.
By the way, real quick, do you know what the fourth place person did? She probably, I don't know if she did. She probably cried her eyes out. You know why? Because she has to wait another how many years to even have the opportunity to stand up on that podium. And that's how you want to act.
Yeah.
You see, there's a fourth and fifth and a sixth place person that's not going to go to Tokyo.
Yeah.
They would have died to be standing on that podium.
Yeah, the hours, hundreds of hours.
The
of
hours, the work, the injuries, the training, the dieting, everything.
Yeah.
Would have died to be on that podium.
Yeah.
That's how you act. All right.
What does our boy Don King say? I say our boy, that's a loose term. Only in America.
Only in America.
Only in America.
Only in America.
And that's what for me is so sad about the whole story, really, is the lack of understanding and perspective that your story is a uniquely American story.
Yeah.
And not realizing that, oh my gosh, like this is uniquely American. I am really the standard bearer for what's possible in this country.
Yeah.
So rather than understand, it's like this is the environment that yielded success for you. And rather than see that, it's like, oh, this is the environment that yielded success. Well, they got it all wrong, though. You're a successful product of this environment.
What?
I don't understand that.
I didn't. And I never will. And again, it's just as a teammate or as somebody who was on the Olympic team, somebody that, and by the way, if you watch the two other young ladies that were standing on the podium, I mean, like oozing with pride.
Yeah.
Could not have been more proud.
A lot of this is rooted too, Wesley, in our identity as people.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of us are subscribing more to postmodern theories. And in postmodern theories, there's two things that we tend to eliminate. One is our individual identity, and what goes with that is our individual responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And one is our broader group identities. So we latch on in postmodernism, we latch on to these micro identities.
Mm-hmm. Constantly.
We don't say I'm an American, I'm a Black American. You know, we don't take the individual responsibility and say, hey, I'm in charge of this. We say, we're being held down. We're being subjugated.
This group,
this is a problem.
Group.
And this
stop
is a problem.
This hate. Stop that hate. Stop this hate. Back and forth and back. It's like, yes.
And you want to, people ask me all the time, they're like, what's the difference in the mentality of this country, you know, from the World War II generation to now? And I think it is that postmodern thinking, that thinking of, we're only thinking of ourselves as pieces of the pie, and we're not thinking about ourselves as a holistic America. Mm-hmm. And that's problematic. And so as we study theories, I mean, look, we're so into having to study specifically critical race theory, right? What about critical legal theory, where critical race theory came from?
So one thing General Milley said as well, is he said this. He goes, I want to understand white rage. How about rage? Rage is not just the banner for just white males.
Yeah.
Again, as we talked about 2 weekends ago, there were 40 people shot in Chicago, the majority of them Black. What about Black rage? What about MS-13? What about gang rage? That's predominantly Hispanic. Yeah. What about rage, period? Just because you're a white male doesn't mean you have rage.
Yeah.
So when you have the top general in our country say, I want to understand white rage too. No, sir. You see, how about rage?
Yeah.
And how do we get to the bottom, to the root causes of these things? To your point, you don't have to put a moniker on everything. What about white American rage? What about black American rage? What about Asian American rage? What about this American? Like, if this gets so old, then you turn Howard D. Like, we're constantly changing our banners. In this hate, in that hate.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like. All these things need to be addressed, but we can only address them together. And the second we start putting these micro pseudo handles on everything, then we start to exclude somebody else that wants to be a part of the process, that can be a part of the healing process. But then you know what they say? You know, I'm not Jewish. I can't understand what it's like. You know, I'm not black. Hey, I got some thought, but you know, man, I'm not black.
Yeah.
So you know, I can't. You know, I don't understand. Yes, you can understand. You're an intelligent human being.
Yeah.
We want your opinion. We need your opinion.
Yeah. And that goes back to the idea of how do we make America better as a whole?
That's it.
Like, how do we make America better? Because, and once again, this is a lot of the problem that I see with critical race theory is if we're taking perspectives from other people, hopefully we're taking perspectives from them because we believe that the perspectives that they lend are trying to help us.
Yeah.
The crux of that theory is inherently because you don't look like this, your perspective is inherently racist.
Period.
That's it.
Forget your background, forget your socioeconomic background, forget where you came from, forget your family history, forget your experiences.
It's all rooted in race.
It's all race.
You can never do anything because you truly believe that it's the right thing to do.
That's wrong, Wrendon.
It's race.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
See, it's wrong.
And the question is, and it goes back to even what General Milley was saying. The question is, once again, learning different theories, understanding different theories.
It's great.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. There's also a piece of this too where we have to take responsibility, and when I say we, it's the collective
America. Yeah,
we have to take responsibility of how we message and put together curriculums as well. Mm-hmm. So you can't just go off the hook. Like, yes, General Milley is a very, 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 very educated person.
Extremely.
He reads
top
Mao
1%
and Lenin and all this kind of stuff.
Top 1% of the
and I'll tell you, I consider myself an extremely learned person.
Yes.
Okay. I've read Lennox and Marx. I've never read Mao.
Me neither.
Okay. And so, as somebody who considers myself a learned person, you believe that every single person in an academy
is going to digest this.
Is that curious that they're going to go read everything about every theory possible because they're that curious?
Because they're not.
They're not. And there is a responsibility, especially from the highest levels of the armed forces, to think about and curate a curriculum that will help people better understand the world and the soldiers and sailors in which they will lead.
So let's just talk about our lives too. I've never really had an issue. I've never felt like we didn't teach or we didn't learn enough about race growing up.
No, I lived it, man.
Not only did we live it though, but like even in school, like we learned about Harriet Tubman. We learned about slavery. We watched Jane Pittman in elementary school at Greenwood.
We sure did.
We watched that movie. We had Black History Month. Yeah. We talked about it like in every phase of our lives, from public school and private school, they taught the history of slavery and of the past and the historical context that it was in.
Yeah.
I just want the truth. You don't have to give it to me based on the perspective of race. Just tell me what happened.
Yeah. And there were
I don't feel like I always got that.
And there were bad white and black people and good white and black people and Hispanic people and Asian people. Like history is history, right?
It's what happened.
Yeah.
It's what happened.
Yeah. So viewing history through the lens of a theory, to me, I mean, that's a great History 505 course.
Yes, but under no circumstances.
It's not History 101.
No, it is not. And then also, if you really, what gets really funny that I find interesting is that, so if we're talking about slavery, we're talking about critical race theory, so where did the slaves come from that were sold to the slave owners in the Americas?
They were slaves in Africa.
So they were black slave owners.
Yeah. And Native American slaves owners.
And Native American,
because after like
This goes on every civilization.
It's not just because of the color of the person's
skin.
skin.
It's not just because of the critical race. It's not because actually they're black. So, I mean, how are you going to explain that away?
Yeah. Well, and that's why viewing history through the lens of a theory is some real high-level stuff.
High level. But I like the way you put that. Like 5 level, not 101.
It's not 101.
And also should not be, and by not 101, Wrendon, I'm not sure that especially developing brains and young people that really don't have the capacity to get, there are some kids that are that gifted that can do that, but that takes time.
Yeah.
To be able to distill that down and put that in the right context.
Yeah.
I understand General Milley can. Of course he can.
Yeah, he's got a 10-pound brain, man. The guy's a national treasure.
Everybody can't do that.
Yeah.
And by the way, be better. You can't expect everyone to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You cannot.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Got to be very careful with what we're teaching our people. And by the way, I'm not saying I don't want to talk about slavery and race. I love talking about it.
Oh
my gosh.
You know what?
I love talking. And people get on. Well, when I was on the campaign trail, somebody said, "I just feel uncomfortable when you talk about race. I feel uncomfortable when you do that." Sorry.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Because when I talk about it, we always talk about it in terms of progress. Don't act like it didn't happen, though.
Yeah. Because it did.
Because it did.
Well, and there's when I really feel like there's a progression point that I'm hoping that I get to see in my lifetime, and I'm not overly optimistic that I will. I look forward to a day when my grandkids, God willing, will be able to talk about American history, where they don't bifurcate it into Black history, white history. You know, this is
it's just history.
This is Asian month. This is Pride month. I would hope that at some point in my lifetime, we would get to the point where we realize there are unique struggles that are happening here that are American struggles, and it's incumbent upon all of us to try to help those in our society who are struggling. And it doesn't matter where they are socioeconomically, from a religion standpoint.
The whole point of us having
matter.
Black History Month, or all these months, because now everybody's got a month,
is so that we don't need them.
Is so at some point. So there was a time in our history where we needed this month to introduce some ills that certain people had to go through in order to be here, but it was introduced for it to eventually go away because it gets inculcated and ingrained into our natural American curriculum.
That's the hope. But the more we segment, that will never happen.
We're regressing.
Yeah, that will never happen.
It's like we're doubling down on it, and we've clearly progressed way beyond that.
Yeah. I would hope, and as we talked earlier in the series about Juneteenth, I would hope that Juneteenth in 20 years isn't seen as a Black holiday. I hope that it's seen as an American. Martin Luther King Day is getting there more and more and more. And every year I'm like, okay, good. We're seeing
holiday.
This guy, he's an American treasure.
It's a good thing, guys.
Right? He's not a Black American treasure.
He's an American treasure. This guy's good. Yeah.
Like the I Have a Dream speech wasn't good for a Black guy.
It was good.
It was one of the best speeches ever given.
Period. Top 3 ever. Period.
Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah, it's up there. You know how I feel about Kennedy's speech out the back of his truck. Bobby Kennedy.
That's a good one. Sermon on the Mount.
That for me is probably my. No, it was Bobby Kennedy's speech when he announced that Martin Luther King was shot.
That's a great speech.
One of the greatest speeches I've ever heard in my life.
That's a great speech.
But anyway, there's a list of them.
Gladiator.
Anyway. Are you not entertained?
What
are you not entertained?
Now. Echoes
in eternity.
Michael Jordan's speech to the Tunes in Space Jam.
Colonel Nathan R. Jessup.
Oh, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, A Few Good Men. I mean, we're getting some real quality speeches here, brother.
Yeah,
you're ridiculous.
That's a good one.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
I love it.
Who's gonna do it? You,
Weinberg.
You, Lieutenant Weinberg. What a squirrely name, huh? You, Lieutenant Weinberg. Anyway,
there's
been some really good quality speeches out there.
Yeah, and MLK is up there, man.
Yeah.
Well, and especially, I mean, I say from the words, I say the Sermon on the Mount from the words, but we don't have video of that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it was pretty good based on what I've read.
It's like the Gettysburg Address, right? Like the best thing we have is who played Lincoln? What's his name?
Oh, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis. That's the best we got.
Yeah, that's the best we got.
We didn't see there's no recording of it.
Yeah,
but my guess is it was pretty good.
It's probably about like that. So I can't even, because of that. We're talking about things that we've actually captured.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, MLK is up there. There's some Bobby Kennedy ones that are up there. There's certainly some wonderful Malcolm X ones up there. Yeah, I mean, this is.
But it's not just because he was a black dude that gave
some Ronald Reagan ones that are pretty good.
It's because it was just awesome.
It's a great speech, and that's where I hope that we can transition as a country.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is happening from the standpoint of the next generation and how they view race. Because one of the things, we've talked about this at length, I have biracial children, you have biracial children. And I think one of our big pitfalls as a society is people who grew up in our era are trying to put all of the baggage of our era on the next era. And that's what concerns me about critical race theory.
Yeah.
Is there's a lot of baggage that's left. Our parents have more baggage racially than we do.
Big time.
We have more baggage racially than our kids will have.
Big time.
And so we really need to be
passing down the baggage.
We really need to be careful about what we teach, because we're not only teaching history, we're
teaching the lessons. Don't
we're
pass
teaching
down
history
the baggage.
and baggage.
Yes. We're teaching history and passing down the baggage. Just teach the history.
Yeah.
We don't need the baggage.
We don't need the baggage.
Because it's different, man. It's changed. I was in Florida. Just got back today.
Yeah.
And
Florida.
Florida. Let me tell you something, man. Florida's Wild Wild West, man.
Hey, man.
They live by a different code. It's my kind of code. I'm a big fan of Florida.
By the way, I don't know if I've ever told you this. Very, very quick segue.
Yeah.
I've always thought that Florida was like the black pit bull.
Oh, that's a good one. Summer hits for days.
Hit after hit.
Maybe not like the most talented, like not the most gifted lyrically, but for whatever reason,
doesn't matter.
When the summertime comes
it's
around,
catchy. I'm wondering where they are.
I'm trying to find the apple bottom jeans. And the boots with the furs, right?
They're kind of like, it's
summer. The summer's here.
Yeah.
Where's Florida?
Yeah. I've always thought
he has like 5 songs, right?
And they all came out in the summer, different years. He doesn't release songs in the fall.
Oh yeah.
So, but you were in Florida.
I was in Florida, and in most airports that you fly into in this country, inherently, usually CNN is going to be on the screen on the news that's getting played.
Yeah.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, there's some kind of airport agreement that CNN has with certain airports or whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. Not in Panama City, where I flew into. They had Fox News on TV.
Interesting.
Which is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because it also kind of goes to show you the thought process of that community and the microcosm of that community.
Sure.
And so I was on the beach, obviously, and just
you were on the beach.
Wrendon, it was it was great. It was beautiful. It was great. It was wonderful. And at the end of the day, I was walking up and just getting ready to get in the golf cart, and this guy with this Mississippi State shirt stopped me. You could tell he had a few.
Congratulations on the national championship,
awesome.
By the way.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome. And we just start talking. And he looked at me and he goes, "Are you a football player?" So I said, No, I'm not. I said, Actually, I just ran for office.
No, I just have these muscles. Are you a football player? No, I just like to carry these around because they might be able to help me at some point in life. Are those muscles detachable? No, they're actually part of me. That's
funny. So this guy goes, we start talking, and I told him, I kind of told him who I was, and I ran for office. I'm going to run again. I think he kind of recognized, because he probably saw me on Fox for a few things, and he's sitting there with his daughter, and he asked this question. This is a great question. He didn't know for sure, okay, But I get it. You got to be careful. A black guy in Florida, you know, I can feel it. And I'm kind of smiling because I know where he's going.
You know where he's going with this?
And I'm not going to make him feel bad about it.
He's starting to put together the box.
He's starting to but he's like, he went to West Point. I was in the military.
He's like, I want to put you in a box, but I'm not sure what box.
And then he goes, so if you don't mind me asking, he has to get a country. If you don't mind me asking, what are your political leanings? As diplomatically as he could put it. His daughter goes, Dad! And he goes, no, actually, I'm a Republican. He goes, oh, thank God. Me and Mom, come on, brother. And he gives me a hug, Wrendon. But like a real grown man hug, you know? He's like, bring it in, brother, bring it in.
Yeah. Like cracking your back.
He's like, and Wrendon, was so funny because we were talking about freedom and liberty and we were talking about Second Amendment stuff and just like things in general, service to the country, being thankful, being grateful, these things that he was just trying to figure it out. He didn't care what I looked like. Yeah. He didn't care what I looked like, literally. And when I told him that we agreed politically, he was, oh God. I mean, because he knew that I didn't care that he was white and I knew that he didn't care that I was black. We were talking about what the values of this country mean to us. Yeah. We agreed on that. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. And in critical race theory, that's not possible.
It's impossible. Because I have to have that conversation and assume that he's
he
racist.
Automatically is racist and doesn't want to listen to what you have to say.
Period. Why? Because he's white. He's a white man.
Yeah.
What?
Do we really want to live in that world?
Wrendon, not no. Hell no. And not only do we not want to live in this world, I refuse to live in that world. Yeah. I refuse to live in that world. There are way too many good people that look way different than we have, that look like us, look different, that are just good people. Yeah. That have treated us very well. Yeah. That have supported us throughout our entire lives. I refuse to put all those good people in a box.
Not only no, but Bismillah, no.
I will not let him go.
Not only no.
Refuse to do it.
Yeah.
And that, and by the way, that's just one example that happened on the beach. I got five of those examples, Wesley, that are very similar to that. And it's just, I will spare you every story, but it was over and over and over and over again.
Our lives are riddled with those examples.
I know. Way more of those than the others, by the way, than the bad ones.
We were having a conversation earlier today on our drive over here, which is crazy. I don't think that our listener really understands. We were getting geared up to come over here and talk and have a conversation, and we were having a conversation on the way over here. None of the material of that conversation is in this conversation. It just kind of gives you a scope of how much we actually do talk.
Yeah, a lot.
To which my wife would say, too much.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
This eye roll.
Stop doing that. Save it for the show.
So we were talking about the different places that we experienced growing up, whether it be growing up in Greenwood Forest, whether it be going to Champion Forest Baptist Church, whether it be going to St. John's. And as we were talking about all these places, we both just started reminiscing. Man, remember this person? Man, they were a good person. Man, remember this person?
Yeah, remember Greg Smithy?
Man, they were
remember
a good
Jason
person.
Klotz?
Man,
his mom and dad?
Person. Man, remember this? Man, they were really good people. Man, they were really good people.
Yeah.
And I would be hard pressed.
Remember the Joneses? Brad Jones, the Joneses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mississippi State alums.
Yes.
I would be hard pressed to, on one hand, come up with 5 people or families that I didn't feel that way about.
I know. And
we're
talking about a lot of white people.
We were talking about 18 years.
Yeah. It's hard to find.
Of growing up.
Yes. And Wrendon, you know what's really funny about that too? If I could name the 5, guess what? They won't be all white families.
Ah.
My whole argument with that comment is that this is not about race. It's about the individual person, individual family. There's good white people, and there's bad white people. There's good black people, there's bad black people. We could do this all day.
Yeah.
We could do it all day.
And we feel the need to always caveat that, right?
I know.
Like that's that's the 4th of July caveat.
So the
right?
assumption is that just because they're black, they're going to be good to you?
Yeah, that's not always true.
Or just because they're white, they're going to be bad to you?
It's not always true.
And this is the world that we're trying to force down the throats of our future?
And oh, by the way, this is a world that our future doesn't see or subscribe to yet.
No.
But if we keep doing this,
They will.
they will. And that, my brother, is dangerous.
It's very dangerous. This is why I'm concerned too, especially as we're, rolling into 4th of July weekend. When did patriotism become a bad thing? You see, you start to lose our next generation when you stop instilling a sense of pride and patriotism where you came from. Like, that's where it gets really dangerous, because now you don't feel like you're in the same boat.
Yeah. When did that become controversial?
When did that...
When was putting up an American flag
controversial?
A sign that we might not agree on the direction of our country?
So Brad Jones, actually, speaking of him, this is actually why I thought about him, because now I'm remembering. He put up a Facebook post. He changed his Facebook profile when he played baseball for him.
Mississippi State?
Yeah, Mississippi State. And there is a shot of the team and in his jersey when he was playing. And whenever they played the national anthem, they placed their hand over their hearts, and then they placed their left hand at the position of parade rest. The whole team. That's what the coach did. This is how we do it. That's it.
Wow.
So he posted that a couple of days ago. And I thanked him for that.
Yeah.
When did that become controversial at this point?
And once again, you want to talk about, we really need to think about how we right this ship, because you feel like you have to caveat if somebody disrespects the flag. I always feel the need to caveat it with, well, I fought for their right to do that so they can do it.
Yeah.
But when somebody respects the flag,
they're racist. Oh, you don't understand. Oh, you don't know why we don't respect the flag. Oh, you don't get it.
Yeah. So it's like only one end of the argument necessitates me saying, well, there's this, and the other.
But not the other
But
side.
the other end of the argument where it's just like, yeah, well, I mean, look, I respect this country. Like, am I a bad person, or am I wrong because I believe that this country is the best country in the world and there's a lot of opportunity?
No, because that's a fact.
And you know what I almost just did? This is
Facts.
what we're talking about. I almost just had to caveat that, right? Even though there's things that yeah, we're not perfect.
Yeah. Nothing is. Nothing and no one is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop caveating. Like you said, as we embark on the next campaign, I'm not caveating anymore. No more caveating. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because I do it all the time now.
Yeah.
And that's not it. It's inherently understood that a part of the human condition, therefore any human or anything that humans create,
Lacks
is
perfection.
inherently flawed.
Yeah. Lacks perfection.
Okay, so let's just move on.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the good. We gotta address the bad. Let's focus on the positives, man. Come a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not what I'm choosing to talk about. What I'm talking about is the positives. 4th of July, this is what I'm talking about.
It's a good thing.
Juneteenth, this is what I'm talking about.
It's a good thing.
Choosing to talk about the positives.
It's a good thing.
It's in Christian holidays, right?
Yeah.
Christmas, celebrating the birth of Jesus.
That's it.
Easter, celebrating the resurrection.
The resurrection of Christ. That's it.
Good Friday,
Yeah.
we're mourning for the cross.
Yeah.
There's a time and place for everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, take us out.
Happy 4th of July to everyone. Please enjoy the amazing experiment that is the American experiment. Also, if you have time, I will have a couple of Fox exclusives next week. Please tune in. Fox News will be making the official announcement for the congressional run coming up here next week. And the reason why Wrendon and I are doing this, why we have the honor to do it, is because there are a lot of people that sacrificed and shed blood for us to be able to sit here and do this, and they come from all walks of life. Again, we aren't perfect, but by God, you have an amazing 4th of July weekend. And remember that smiles are contagious, so make someone's day.
God bless you.
God bless you. Thank you.